Hey, Buff Nation, voice of the Buffs, Mark Johnson here. This week on the Buffalo Stampede television show, we're talking football. The 21st rated Colorado Buffaloes, 4-0 in the season, coming off the win over Arizona. A huge rushing attack. That ball game with 407 rushing yards. Mitch Rodriguez, the offensive line coach, is going to join us. And we flip around to the defensive side. Chris Wilson talking defenses. The Buffs have improved every week this season. The men's basketball team coming off a loss at Tennessee, and the women's basketball squad loses a rivalry game with DU. The Buffalo Stampede starting right now.
Touchdown! Touchdown, Colorado! And the Buffaloes find the end zone! How about that?
Beautiful shot so that Colorado can celebrate.
Here comes Ralphie and your Colorado Buffaloes.
She'll take it. Maya's good from out top.
Let me hear you, Buff fans!
She's going to fire the shot. Goal, Buffaloes.
Holy cow! What a play by Colorado! For three, they made him pay! He's got a hole on the left side. He steps out of a tackle, running at the 20, running at the 30, running at the 40-yard line. It's a foot race. Hands off Jarek Broussard. He's stumbling. He breaks into the open. He might go all the way. 30, 25 from behind. He turns. He hands off Broussard, who breaks it out in the open. He's running across the 50, down the right side, and a run of 72 yards by Jarek Broussard, who goes over 300 yards in this ball game.
Well, the Buffaloes certainly were impressive running the football in a victory. They improved to 4-0 in the season, 407 yards in the ground, 301 by that guy right there, Jarek Broussard. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Buffalo Stampede. Voice of the Buffs, Mark Johnson. When you're the offensive line coach and you run for 407 yards, I think you're feeling pretty good about how your week went. Mitch Rodriguez joining us. That puts a smile on the big fella's faces, right?
Yes, sir. It sure does.
Take us back to that ball game and kind of give us your sense of how your guys played, helping Jarek rush for 300 yards.
Right. Well, obviously it was a tough ball game. The beginning wasn't exactly like we wanted it to start, and it's all a matter of adjustments. You gotta see what the defense is giving you, what they're exploiting, and exploit them. And so the kids did a great job handling the adjustments and getting a hat on a hat.
I once heard it said by an offensive line coach. He said, offensive linemen love running backs that get you what the play was blocked for, and really like guys and to get you yards after that.
No doubt. I was at another school at one point, and we had a running back that you had to block them all and knock them down to get a yard.
Right.
So this is really nice to have a guy that could make people miss and make you look good as an offensive lineman.
Grade your line for us. How do you feel about the way that unit's been playing? And I know you've been missing some guys here the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, that's a hard one because every week is a different line. But I would say that this past line, this line that we had in this last game, would probably be about a B. A B. We got a lot of improvement to do.
It's been awful tough with Kobe Purcell going down a few weeks ago. I know we're knocking on wood, maybe hoping he comes back this week.
Yes.
But having you had three different guys I think started center over the last 3 weeks.
Well, I don't know if you know this, but I'm sure you do, but maybe the people don't. But, we started the season with, Austin Johnson was going to be one of our centers, and he got hurt the week before our first game. So that caused havoc, and then Kobe got hurt in the first game, and then Josh stepped in. Then he got hurt at practice the following week. So it's been a revolving door inside at guard and center.
And that's a group that you want to have continuity. Hasn't had a lot of continuity with all the issues up front there in the interior of that offensive line. Before the ball game, we caught up with head coach Carl Durrell.
You are ready to unleash and put something on these dudes right now, okay? Just go out there, do your job. You got a great preparation all week, great warm-up. I can tell that this team is ready to go, okay? Do your job. Do it for your teammate. Do it for the guy that's next to you. Do it for the guy that's next to you. Show the world what this football program is all about, okay? We've proven every week who we are in terms of coming out and winning games, surprising people. Ain't no surprise to us, right? No surprise to us. But we got to keep our winning ways, and there's one team that's in the way, and that's Arizona. Everything's intact for our goals and what we're trying to accomplish this year. This one team that's in our way right now, and that's the team tonight. Go out there and play with passion, play fast, have great communication, and go out and make plays on both sides of the ball and special teams. Ready? Yes, sir. Turn it loose! Let's go!
Little pregame speech from the head coach of the Buffaloes, Carl Durrell. The Buffaloes, by the way, ranked 21st in the AP poll this week, 22nd in the coaches poll. Now 4-0, getting ready for a Friday night game with Utah at Folsom Field. Coach, let's talk a little bit about a couple of guys. Frank Phillip, tell me about how he's evolving as that right tackle for you.
You know, Frank's been pretty solid. After not playing last year and playing this year, that was kind of an enigma. But he's done well. He's been solid. He's playing with a little pain, and as all of them are. And I'm really excited about Frank. He's doing a good job.
How about Will Sherman on the left side?
Will's an outstanding young man, and he's a great football player. He does a great job. He's very smart. He's a little banged up right now. You know, we're trying to get him through this week, but doing a heck of a job.
That's one of the things when you get to this point in a season, you're 4 or 5 games deep, everyone's kind of banged up.
Yeah,
you got to fight through that, don't you?
Yeah, you got to fight through it. You know, there's a difference between an injury and there's a difference between pain. And right now, everybody's dealing with a little pain. We got a little Band-Aid, got a little super glue. We're going to put them all back together. But, you know, they have a lot of heart. These guys, they do everything I ask of them, and I'm really proud of them.
All right, and with that being said now, it's a short turnaround this week. Go from a Saturday game on the road at Arizona back home with Utah. Give us a couple of thoughts about the defensive front you're going to face at Utah.
Well, you know, Utah's very good. They're probably the best defense that we're going to face, that we've faced this year so far. You know, they're a 4-down front, which, you know, it's an 8-man front, 7-man front, a lot of 3 high, cover 3, and they're going to play an extra guy in the box. Yeah, they're really good. They got some big guys up front, got some really good linebackers and edge guys. It's going to be a big challenge for us.
All right, Buffaloes look to wrap up the schedule as it stands right now, undefeated. A big part of that's been the offensive line. Coach, congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, Mitch Rodriguez, offensive line coach for the Buffaloes. Coming up next here on the Buffalo Stampede, after a quick timeout, we're going to switch to the defensive line. Chris Wilson will join us next.
There's a handoff to Brightwell, and right there, defensively for the Colorado Buffaloes, was Carson Wells. Takes the inside handoff, and then he holds, and right there is Carson Wells to sack him and bring him down. Steps over the pocket. He got hit, and he got sacked back at the 49-yard line. Glover, shotgun snap, spins the ball under pressure. He's grabbed by Wells and sacked. That's the 4th sack of the game by the Buffaloes. A loss of 7 yards.
You know, we talk so much about Nate Lamb, and we certainly should, but number 26 is playing some very good football at that outside linebacker position. Buffaloes are 4-0, ranked number 21 in the country, getting set to take on Utah on Friday night at Folsom Field. Voice of the Buffs, Mark Johnson, back here on the Stampede. Chris Wilson, defensive line coach. Well, we can sit here and brag on those 2 linebackers behind you all we want, but we do have to talk about your guys a little bit. How do you feel your defensive guys are playing here on that defensive line so far?
Right now they're growing. You know, and we've got a lot of guys. We're playing about 6 to 8 guys every Saturday, which is always a plus. And the progression is going well. We're developing the depth at the bottom of our roster, and our starters right now are really improving day to day. So it's going well.
You know, Chris, I think about where this defense started. I go back to that UCLA game 4 games ago. There's been growth across this entire unit, hasn't there?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, that's the biggest thing. What we're trying to do is form an identity.
Yeah.
And what that looks like, hopefully a physical, fast, hard-playing defense. And we're trending that way. We still got a lot of work to do, and we got a big challenge this week.
Yeah, that's always a challenge from a coaching staff, is to see that improvement week to week. When things are going well and you're winning ball games, I'd imagine a little bit easier to teach that. You have more receptive students at that point?
Well, you can definitely coach them harder.
I bet you can.
When you're winning. And so and they've been so receptive to it. That's been the plus. These guys want to improve. They want to play well, and they want to contribute any way they can. So that's been fun for a coach.
You know, the number one question I get asked by fans out there is about, when is this team going to get respect? Does that resonate with a player when they're not seeing the external things coming in, or do you guys keep it so tight internally you try not to pay attention to what's going on out there?
You know something, I'm always going to give you an honest answer. I don't know.
Okay.
I really don't even focus on it. We just focus on the things that we can control, which is number one, improving every day and being present. And so that's been our number one goal across the board. And Coach Durrell does a great job of keeping everyone in the building grounded and focused.
Well, the Buffaloes are 4-0, so they've done a good job of that. Of course, they improved to 4-0 with that 24-13 win at Arizona. Afterward, we heard from the aforementioned Carson Wells and running back Jarek Broussard.
I'm very proud of myself, I must say. You know, all the hard work and all the hours of rehab, the cold nights in the hospital. It's all just paying off, and it just feels real good. We knew, like, from the jump that we had to play for 60 minutes straight. So, being down, 14-0 way early in the game, you can't really just get down on yourself because, we still had 3 more quarters to play. So we just stuck to the script, kept on chopping. Well, we play with a next man up mentality. As you can see, nobody knew who I was before the season. And when I finally got my shot, I just made the most of it. So, with the next man mentality, like, you could get in at any given moment. So you just gotta stay ready and be ready.
We played well. I don't think they scored in the second half. Kept telling the guys, everybody was playing hard no matter what the score is. We didn't care what the score was in the first half, second half. Even once we got a lead, we just kept playing hard for each other. Keel wasn't out there today. We miss him. Quinn and John Van Diest did a good job stepping up today, and proud of them. We knew they were going to go to tempo. They caught us gashed us a couple plays. I feel like we settled in. After the first drive, they got the touchdown, and we held them to a couple field goals. And then after that, they didn't really get much. They got a couple drives. We just had that bend, but don't break attitude. And that really paid off for us tonight.
Post-game comments from Jarek Broussard, who, by the way, ends up being the Offensive Player of the Week in the Pac-12. Carson Wells playing very well once again for the Buffaloes as we continue with Chris Wilson. All right, short week going from last week on a Saturday now to a Friday. What kind of challenge is that for you guys?
Well, it's always big. You got to go back and trust your systems. We've got a really good package, and we've had to go back and dive into that. This group we're playing loves balance, and so number one thing we got to be able to do is really go stop this run game. Last week they did a great job of being balanced, rushing for over 200 yards, and then almost throwing for 200 yards. So it definitely represents a big challenge for us across the board.
As long as you've been coaching, I wonder. I love talking to coaches about kind of their view of the opposition, if you will. Kyle Whittingham and that staff have had great success there.
Absolutely.
Consistency. You got to respect that, don't you?
Well, you do. You understand that there's a culture, there's a way of doing things across the board, and that's from top down, from the top of the organization to the bottom of the organization, and they find people that fit their system, and they do a great job with it. A well-coached team, they come out prepared every week. So again, that's why they've been around so long.
You talk about working and improving week in and week out. I'm wondering, when we've seen the Buffs defense get pressure, a lot of time we're seeing blitzing and stunting and those kind of things. How do you continue to work on developing pressure just from your front four?
Well, the biggest thing is having the ability to win on early downs.
Okay.
It's a lot better to rush when it's 3rd and 12 than it is when it's 3rd and 3. And so what we do on 1st and 2nd down is really critical to our success on 3rd down.
All right. You know what? You got a chance to prove to 5-0. Good luck this weekend.
Thanks so much, Mark.
All right, Chris Wilson, defensive line coach for the Colorado Buffaloes as they get set to take on Utah at Folsom Field. Coming up next, we're talking basketball. The Buffs were in SEC country. We'll look back in that ball game in just a moment.
To the lane, taken by Evan. Gives up top Schwartz to Bartholomew. Left side, Horn for 3. Fires and drains from downtown. And finally, the Buffaloes knock the lid off the bucket from outside the arc. That's the first 3-point of the ball.
Al Dry Horn had a big game. His first career double-double, 15 points, 11 rebounds. But the Buffaloes fall on the road against Tennessee, 56-47. Back in the Buffalo Stampede. Scott Wilkie, voice of the Buffs, Mark Johnson. Disappointing, Scotty. They didn't have a great start. In fact, Tad said in the postgame, awful offensively, but what a missed opportunity for Colorado. As bad as they played, they were within 2 in the second half, and up falling by 9 at Tennessee.
These are the games that you want as players playing on, home court of a top 25 team, and they didn't give their best effort. Let's be honest.
No, on the offensive end, they played well defensively, but on the offensive end, you just got the sense there wasn't much flow out there. There wasn't a lot of ball movement, not a lot of penetration in this ball game.
Well, they fell into Tennessee's trap. Tennessee took away McKinley's right drives, and without him, they needed other playmakers. They weren't there tonight.
McKinley, as good as he is, they put big bodies on him, got physical with him. And we've seen this in the past with very good players on some teams where you can get a little too reliant on one guy. You got the sense a little bit, hey, McKinley, if he can't make the play, somebody else has got to step up and handle the basketball and get the Buffs into the offense. That didn't happen in this ballgame.
Yeah, instead of the ball moving out of McKinley's hands, guys would think, I'm going to make a play. And a lot, like Coach said, a lot of dribbling, a lot of forced shots. We said that multiple times tonight on our telecast. So the Buffs are going to play better offensively, and if they can combine the two, they played well defensively and rebounded the ball. but offensively's got to be better.
You know, here's the glass half full kind of view of this thing, though. As bad as Colorado was offensively, and they were down by 16 points, by the way, 26-10 at one point, down by 7 at the intermission. You play that bad offensively, and you're still in a ball game and really have a shot in the second half, midway through the second half, at the number 12 team in America. So I guess you can take that away from a positive.
Yeah, you look at the statistics, you think 23 turnovers, shoot 33%, you're probably going to lose by 20 or 25. They were down 5 with less than 2 minutes left, so they were in the game, just couldn't make enough shots, though, to really have a chance at winning it.
Yeah, the Buffaloes did hold Tennessee to 36% shooting, so that defensive effort was pretty good. Ended up on the plus side of the ledger in rebounding, but boy, 23 turnovers. And speaking of which, that was a topic of conversation with head coach Tad Boyle after the ball game.
Yeah, Mark, disappointing because, boy, I thought defensively we played well enough to win. You know, you guys know I'm not a zone coach. I felt like we really had trouble guarding them. Evan got foul trouble. We went to the zone. It was successful, so we stuck with it. But offensively, we were so bad tonight. So, and now Tennessee, you got to give them credit. They crawled up into us. They saw the K-State film. The difference is Tennessee was able to sustain that defensive effort for 40 minutes, whereas K-State was not. And so we were able to kind of get going offensively against the Kansas State team. But tonight we weren't. But you turn the ball over 23 times, Mark, and you shoot 33%. I mean, it's a recipe for getting blown out. And so I think, I got to credit our guys. I mean, we didn't get blown out. I mean, that 9-point game was, 4 free throws at the end by Tennessee. So it's really a 5-point game. But we were not good enough offensively. We got to learn to handle pressure better, because if anybody watches these 2 games, they're going to see, boy, climb up into Colorado and they'll pee down their leg and give you the ball.
Well, there was head coach Tad Boyle, always very honest after a ball game like this. Took a lot of the blame and shouldered a lot of the responsibility after this one. You give him credit for that, but this has got to be a learning process for the Buffaloes moving from here on out.
Yeah, you hope that they take from this and get better and apply the things that they work on in practice over the next few days. But I think they're going to be better, Mark. I expected them to be, not necessarily to win tonight, but I expected them to be better offensively, and I think they will be in their next ball game.
Well, I guess we shouldn't be terribly surprised. Think of this. The Buffaloes last played on the 27th of November when they won in Manhattan, Kansas over Kansas State. This game takes place on the 8th of December, so they haven't played really for a couple of weeks, and it looked that way, I thought. There was some rust out there for Colorado.
Yeah, and some of the guys weren't practicing on a regular basis because of restrictions and things like that, so you don't know how much they were on the floor. Working out in their room is not the same thing.
Yeah, that's right. This is kind of a neat series, though, and it came at the last moment, of course, between Nate Tomlinson and Kim English, the former assistant for the Buffaloes, now at Tennessee. They got this schedule first of a 3-game set. Tennessee will come to Colorado next year, and then there's a neutral court game in Nashville the year after that. All right, coming up on Monday night. Next up for the Buffaloes, as it stands right now, and again, these schedules right now are tenuous at best. You got Northern Colorado coming in here on Monday night. That should be a feel-good game for the Buffaloes.
Yeah, you won't see the same type of athletes out there for Northern Colorado, and Colorado should be much better offensively. It's a game to build back to where they were, I think.
Yeah, I think so. And then, of course, it won't be long, and we'll be jumping in to Pac-12 conference play. This league at this point, there's so many unknowns. You don't know what to think about the Pac-12 from a basketball standpoint right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's a half-hour drive for me to get to Bouldermark. I was kind of checking my emails, making sure everything was still go before I left the house tonight.
Yeah, well, the Buffaloes end up falling by 9 on the road against the 12th-rated Volunteers. We'll take a timeout here to Buffalo Stampede. When we come back, we're talking women's basketball.
By one here. Sherrod dribbles down the lane, hop step, flips it up. A beautiful shot up and in off the glass, and the Buffs have the lead. For the Buffs, back to Jay. Got a pick. Jay drives inside, off to Maya Hollingshed, and she'll lay it up and in. Frida dribbles right to the corner. Kalinska drive inside, goes for the
Welcome back to the Buffalo Stampede. Voice of the Buffs, Mark Johnson. Time to talk women's basketball. J.R. Payne's team had been sitting at 2-0 and then opened up Pac-12 conference play last week. Took what might be the toughest road swing in the Pac-12 through the Oregon schools. They dropped a couple of ball games at number 10 Oregon and then number 17 Oregon State. Looking to bounce back on Tuesday night, heading down Highway 36 to take on the DU Pioneers. But they dug themselves an early hole. The Buffaloes did erase a 13-point second-half deficit inside Hamilton Gymnasium, but the comeback fell just short. The Pios held on the final seconds for an 85-84 win, snapping Colorado's 5-game winning streak against the in-state rival. On a positive note, senior Maya Hollingshed recorded her third double-double this season, finishing up with 18 points and a career-high 15 rebounds. Sophomore Jalen Sherrod led the Buffs in scoring with a career-high 22. And the continued stellar play by freshman Frida Foreman had the best scoring night of her early career, finishing up with 17 points in the loss to the Pios. Afterward, we heard from head coach J.R. Payne.
Lob back to Blackston. She'll fire at 3. Yeah!
We show in spurts what we're capable of, but that's the tough thing is you can't play in spurts. You got to play, like you said, consistently. And I actually thought we regrouped at halftime very well, and I just told the team I was really proud of them for being able to dig in when things were tough and when we were down. And, they rallied together. It wasn't anything I said or anything I did. It was them. They made a decision that they were going to dig in and compete. And they did that and got themselves back in the ball game. So I'm very proud of that. But I mean, yeah, they're exhausted. Every day is exhausting for every student athlete in America right now and every coach. We definitely need the rest. I mean, the travel and the, 2 top 20 teams and then a third in 5 days is really tough, not just physically, but also emotionally. And so we need a little bit of a break. We need to rest, study up. We have players that are real concerned about final exams and things like that. So we need a day or two to rest up and get ready to go again.
Head coach J.R. Payne after the Buffaloes' 1-point loss to the Pios on Tuesday down in Denver. The Buffaloes are now 2-3 on the campaign. Next up now on Monday, men's and women's basketball having a day-night doubleheader. The Buffalo women will take on Utah in a Pac-12 conference match at noon at the CU Event Center. And then later on that night, the Buff men will take on the Bears of Northern Colorado at 7 o'clock. Our coverage in the Colorado Basketball Network gets underway at 6:30 with Scott Wilkie and yours truly as Tad Boyle's team tries to bounce back after that loss at Tennessee this past week. As for football this week, it's no longer a Friday night game between the Buffs and the Utes. It's a Saturday morning affair, of course. Let's hope the weather cooperates. Gary Barnett, Andy Lindahl, and I will hit the air at 8 o'clock in the morning. It's breakfast with the Buffaloes with the Buffalo Stampede pregame show, and then the kickoff between the Buffs and the Utes at 10 o'clock a.m. at Folsom Field as the head coach of the Buffaloes, Carl Durrell and company, look to go 5-0 on the season, and we'll see what happens in terms of them potentially getting into the Pac-12 championship game, although the Buffaloes need a little help in that regard. That'll wrap up the Buffalo Stampede this week. I'm voice of the Buffs, Mark Johnson. We'll talk to you next time.